I've only told this story a handful of times since it happened. I wanted to share it with you and your channel anonymously. This happened back in September of 1988. Folks usually either laugh or get real quiet when I share this story. Some know what I'm talking about. Most don't want to believe, but there are things out there in those Appalachian woods that don't like to be seen. Back then, I was 28, working part-time at a feed store in Kentucky. My buddy Mike was a mechanic, tough as nails, and a Vietnam vet. We were both avid hikers, and we had just planned a 3-day backpacking trip. The area we were planning on going is no joke. Just dense forest, deep ravines, and a long history of strange happenings. Locals whisper about moonshine stills, disappearance, and wild men or remnants of long isolated families. I'd heard stories growing up, but I never gave them much thought. That was until that weekend. We hit the trail at about 10 a.m. It was September and the weather was cool, but not cold. We stopped for lunch near an old logging road. That's when we noticed the first strange thing. Total silence. No birds, no squirrels, no wind, just dead quiet. I remember Mike saying, "Feels like the woods are holding their breath or something." This made me feel very uneasy. That night we made camp just north of a junction near an old fire ring we had used years before. Around 2 a.m., I woke up needing to use the restroom. As I stepped out of the tent, I heard footsteps about 20 yards away in the trees. I froze. This didn't sound like an animal. It sounded like 2 heavy feet. I called out to Mike asking if it was him, but he was still zipped in his bag, snoring lightly. I stood there, bare-legged in the cold, staring into the dark until the sound stopped. I didn't sleep too much after that. The next day, we pushed deeper into the forest, heading for an old back county lodge near Tennessee. This was accessible from our route. We planned to loop back towards the falls near it, heading back the way we came. Around a creek, we saw something startling. It looked like footprints of bare human feet. These were massive, though. They were easily a size 14 or 15, and they were deep impressions, like whoever made them weighed somewhere around 250 to 300 pounds, possibly. They trailed off uphill into some thick brush. Mike looked at me and muttered, "That wasn't no hiker." That evening, we found a good sight, but the unease just kept growing. Just after dusk, we heard a low moan echoing through the trees. This didn't sound like a coyote or an owl. It sounded almost human-like, but we were miles out in the middle of nowhere and didn't have a clue what it could have been. We built a bigger fire than usual. Mike cleaned his old K-bar knife, and I loaded my .38 revolver. We didn't talk too much that night. Later that night, a scream woke us both up. This wasn't an animal, not even close. It was a guttural, choking howl that ended with a clicking, snarling sound. We jumped up. Mike grabbed his flashlight and scanned the trees. About 40 yards off, we saw eyeshine, low to the ground at first. And there it stood, tall, human-like. But something was off. The face wasn't quite right. He looked like a person, but something just was missing. He almost had a blank look on his face. He was covered in what looked like mud. His hair was down to his shoulders and he had a long beard. And he was completely naked. Mike shouted, "Hey," and threw a rock. Then the person, if you could call it that, let out a dry hiss and bolted fast, unnaturally fast, away from us. We didn't sleep much after that. We left at first light, skipping the last leg of our trip and making it a beeline back. I've never hiked that area again. When we got back, I reported what we saw to the local ranger station. The guy behind the desk I had known for years, and was normally a wiry man. This time, he wasn't full of laughter like he normally was. He leaned forward and asked where it happened. We showed him on a map. He then pulled out a drawer and showed me a folder. And inside were photocopies of reports dating back to the 1960s, all from the same region, all describing something similar. A tall, thin, human-like creature. The locals called him the HOWLER, or the Wild Man. One guy claimed it was a survivor of an old wild family that used to live in the area off the grid. The government cleared them out in the 1930s, but it sounded like there were still some left. Others said it wasn't human at all. The ranger just said, "Don't go looking out there." I still hike to this day, but not out there. Never alone. Mike passed away in 2007. Before he died, he told me, "You remember what we saw? It was real. Don't let anyone tell you it wasn't." So if you find yourself hiking in the woods and things suddenly go quiet, don't turn around. Just hike out. Some things in the Appalachian wilderness are older than our maps, older than our fear, and they're still watching. Wow. Just when I think y'all couldn't send me anything creepier with your personal experiences, you go and send me something like that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Whoa. It was like straight out of a horror movie. What'd y'all think of it? I was on edge the entire time, and it was like whatever it was, I guess it was a feral person was stalking them. It kind of reminded me of those Wrong Turn movies that you'll see on the Sci-Fi Channel sometimes. Man. Woo. Wow. Feral people, huh? You hear about them a lot. I've heard about them a lot. Me and Jared have talked about them. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I mean, at first, when I read it, I thought maybe it was a Bigfoot. Man, it had big feet, and it was heavy. But it didn't sound like no Bigfoot. Man. Man. I know there's a lot of people with stories like this who've had experiences similar. If you've had one, be sure and send it in. You can send it to spookyappalachia@gmail.com. Thank y'all so much for watching, and thanks for the fella that sent this in. Big thanks. It was incredible. And don't forget, folks, stay spooky. And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe.